Hello. So, I will be doing a VOD review for my friend RhiotzX. He recently just hit rank 1 as a Nasus main in North America. I've known my homie over here for about 6 years now, and he's gotten very good at the game. He's always been very consistent and good. He just never played ranked till now. His mechanics are very good, but we're going to go more in detail over macro because that is typically what majority of players struggle with. And even my good friend over here. So let's let this game load in. And then we'll see what goes on in his games. And we're gonna change a couple settings. Primary settings every time we VOD review is preferably keep it on the same side and with Fog of War. Every now and then it makes sense to check enemy POV, see what enemy team is thinking as well, because you can really see a lot of different perspectives of what happens. Everybody has a different POV, and those different POVs will lead to different decision making as to what one should ideally do. But as games typically go on, it does get easier for those that have more consistent game strategies. But we're finally in the game. Load it up. We're just gonna play this on 2x speed as well for the most part. Every now and then I will slow it down. Something I should pop up is
30 seconds until minions spawn.
So let's see here.
Minions have spawned.
If I can just load this up correctly. There we go. Alright. So starting off in laning phase, typically melee versus range matchups, you just want to play chill. You can let him shove. You can either start E or Q, preferably E, especially in higher elos because you're going to get traded out. E makes sense to really just, get whatever farm you can from a distance, and you just want to preserve health, especially in the first 3 levels of lane. And so that's what he does, and that's perfect. Now, we're just letting Victor shove, and primarily as Nasus mid, you just want to prioritize stacks. Nasus mid isn't really... It's difficult to fight as an early game champion, unless you have opportunities such as a jungle gank and whatnot, but regardless, it's better off to play it safe and just let yourself stack up. You're going to outscale majority to everyone anyway. So, my camera or my pen can stop wandering around. That'd be nice. So, you can see that we're just getting as much stacks as we can. And we're gonna turn on the objective timers as well, because macro is very much based on when and which objectives spawn and where we should go. Over here, we have about 560. Our goal is to just get enough for boots or spellblade, primarily spellblade. So we're just relaxing really. We don't need to do much. And especially in the lane where we're the ones getting shoved in, we are more likely to get angry. Because the enemy team is likely to overextend. And if they have a warden, then they just back out. And then we have an easier time to spawn. And we just continue to outscale. That's perfectly fine. If our jungle doesn't choose to come mid, that's perfectly fine. Because it is difficult to work with a Nasus mid at times until he's much stronger. So jungle's game plan should be to prioritize both top lane and bot lane. But we did a full clear and we didn't really utilize much of the opportunities. We just want to slow push, really. We don't have anywhere we need to go or do things in the map. I'm not gonna comment on anything else his team does at the moment, just what my friend could do, even though he played KDA wise quite remarkable. Over here, there's really no reason to contest this. We know Briar's in the jungle, but we can't do anything about it. We can go get a ward, but we just lost a couple opportunities for stacks. Especially when we know, like, we shouldn't be fighting. Briar's in our jungle, tell our jungle to back off. Nothing we can do, not as a Nasus mid. If our jungle stays there, instead of egoing, stays here because of their egoing, then that is on them, and we can only communicate and do so much. Prioritize ourselves and just get stacks. If we do have the opportunity though, then obviously we can go and help. That's perfectly fine. So Victor is thinning out the wave very much, and he has significantly more wave clear than we do, so that's okay. We have enough for our Spellblade, so we're looking for an opportunity, if we can, to reset. If not, not the biggest problem in the world. The other item consideration that I would most likely go is boots first instead, because if you have your CSing on the spot, and if you're not really fighting early game anyway, the boots will help you get tempo to go back to lane faster, plus the CDR to stack them. And also the movement speed will help with dodging abilities. Not real much here. We continue stacking. It's late at night. Up to 36 AM when I'm recording this. Victor seems to be looking for a reset. And the just surprising thing with most mid lane champions is that they will have TP, so they'll typically just TP back in lane. So I most likely think, well, we can see it, but knowing how fast Victor just got back to lane, I could definitely say he TP, and generally I can just look at the tower or might hear it, and then I'll know. Just like that. If this wasn't played, if this was played mechanically a bit better, then that Victor should be dead. But we get the shove, and we get a free base. Ideally, we would have gone our base, but Victor's pushes very fast and strong, which is fine. Now, once you get this cannon, you freeze. So, you want to base as soon as you can, right there. And I'm just gonna pause to explain why, or slow down to explain why. So, the reason why after you shove those 3 minions, you can freeze and then immediately base is because Victor is walking back by this point. And if you base just in time, you're freezing the wave on your side. I mean, Victor still shoves it out here, but we don't have the opportunity to deny him minions now, right? If we can deny him minions while getting the opportunity to roam, or not roam, to return the lane, then significantly better. If we shove though, for our own reset, then Victor gets a bunch of minions after recall for free. Let's see here, I think my wacko settings are messed up, or my tablet settings. Let's make sure it's mapped to just, oh, it's mapped to everything. Good. There you go. Over here, another big opportunity. And it's very easy, for instance. Right? Especially because Victor has to walk up, since otherwise all Nasus has to do is freeze. And so Fiddle gets free opportunities to gank mid now because and Nasus is so much stronger. We have more than enough stacks. It's by 11 minutes now and we have 220. So by this point in time, Victor is spawning. You can get those 2 plates, you gotta reset. You gotta reset fast as well. There's no other reason to do anything else. And you have quite a bit of gold. And you should be resetting it, especially because after you killed Victor and the Briar, Victor's gonna be back in lane now, and you're not gonna have had spent your gold. So, quite the macro mistake, but if you had just come back to lane right now after having spent your gold, your Thresh is here, your Fiddle, he could be setting up. He's waiting somewhere. Right here. Your Thresh has been ready. If you had reset a little bit earlier, and you came back to the lane just a little bit after Victor had arrived in lane, this kill would be much easier than that. Much earlier too. And then that would also mean Thresh gets to return back to bot lane sooner. Because now Kai'Sa is stuck under this tower here. She's not really doing much, or getting much. Right. Especially with how tanky Lucian is, there's not much. But Fiddle could have done something. He could have roamed. Now, after that kill, you shove and you reset. And you had already gone 2 plates, so that's perfectly fine. Over here, there's absolutely no reason to be participating in this fight. Your team has no reason to stay here. You go back mid. Just continue stacking. There's not much going on left. You should have been path from mid to in the first place. Till this point where you get the dragon. Well, over here, Victor gets a shove now. And you miss a couple minutes. But had this had been a little bit cleaner, you should have already had mid. There was nothing happening side anyway until the dragon. And either way, these stats don't give you much. I'd imagine that you could probably be about 350 stacks by now, had you had taken your pathing quite more efficient. But Victor walks up a little bit too far here. The range on the Q is quite insane when ulted, but it's a free kill. Most mid laner matchups are so much easier for Nasus than it is for top lane matchups. So, nothing else to do here. You see Briar already. There's no reason to really damage this turret and overextend, especially when the enemy team was missing. I mean, you get out and you force this first tower, but because you force the first tower down, more waves are going to shove into their side, and Victor could just freeze it as a tier 2 tower now. The thing is, it's like, you don't necessarily need to take the tower by 14 minutes if it's not desperate. You want to keep them in lane. You want your Fiddle to be able to gank them. Just continue prolonged laning phase. That's perfectly fine. We get the Herald. Your bot lane Kai'Sa just hasn't been able to do anything. Even right here, we have no vision. The Fiddle absolutely gets the Herald. He isn't dying. We can't comment too much about it, but it did take forever. It's not the most important thing to do either. Rose should be caught here. Absolutely no reason why she should be living. But the Berserk should just get in and dies. Victor overextends. The Clutch should just go in. If you had game. So, this could have been played better by everyone. here. I would definitely say the Fiora is not the priority target, especially with how mobile she is, and the fact that you don't have ghosts or any movement speed increase. Victor would have been a free kill, and you could have kept the Kled alive as well. So, but because Kled died now, he does give a bit of gold to the enemy team. It might be only 300, but it's more than 0. Yes, good job on resetting. After spending all that, and now it's about 2 minutes until the dragon spawns. So, yes, pathing bot lane is correct here because you don't want to ARAM ever with your team. You could definitely get the Krugs on your way because there's no reason to be out that far, especially with no vision. We don't see Victor and we don't see the enemy jungle. So, we can path bot. We can be a little bit safer. So they're fighting mid. Their Cloud is missing, and so Fiora is mid. But notice how you have a field day on this map. Because you shoved up so much, they have to now respect you being there, doing stuff. Look, with the enemy team all missing, this is hella suspicious. Definitely should have been able to get the kill, but it's not the priority. The priority right now is setting up for another break and having your minion shut. Your ADC needs to stop dying, but your goal is just stacks. And especially with 25 seconds on the clock, you should not be basing. You're definitely more than strong enough to stay. And it just really depends. Do we have mid lane setup? No. But we're getting a setup. Do we have bot lane setup? Yes, you should. But now the enemy team will collapse. Attacking and they're dumb. And you don't get a bunch of free kills. So Briar is actually doing the right thing where she's cross-mapping the opportunity. Although you all get the dragon, the enemy team is looking for a kill. Continue shoving block, that's perfectly okay. So, really imperative that you have to choose whether or not you're going to die. Here it's perfectly fine. Especially with how strong it is. So this should be a free Baron take. Right after that. The thing with splitting is you have to decide between where are you gonna be more useful, what are you doing, how strong or weak is the enemy team, and what tempo do I have, how far am I already out to split. And if you're early enough, you'll always be able to get the correct pressure on. So there's absolutely no reason to be shoving top right now with the Kled. One of you has to base. And the safest person to base would have been you. Especially when you have more than 2k gold in your pocket. If you're on the winning side, you're free to take more fights than your average person. Because you need to continue to snowball. But shoving bot is fine. Good job just waiting. Especially with everyone on the map missing. You're just playing the fog of war. So we don't know where anyone else is, so we're just gonna take a chill. Definitely did not want to walk up. There we go. And there it is.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
Especially with the overextending, but that's fine because notice how your
Red
team
team's
managed to
turret has
get
been
about
destroyed.
3 towers and a red buff. Oh, from here, you just go mid. You just go to your jungle fight right here, especially with the enemy team overextending like this. There's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't be able to just take this one. There you go. So, Lucian did the right thing is shoving base, and you all got the dragon, which is fine. It's an okay trade-off. Now, Baron does spawn in about a minute and a half, and nobody on your team has teleported. So, optimally, you want to shove this as fast as you can right now. You want to be by the enemy side. Your clutch shouldn't be in a position where he's getting caught, but looks like he will be basing, which is fine. So, over here, with 30 seconds on the clock, there's absolutely no reason not to be shoving. You can definitely walk up way higher, and then your team meets the opportunity and their ADC to shove mid. If you're shoving this hard, and the enemy team is doing something to counteract it, like the Fiora, what you could have done is already be at the Baron. If that makes sense, because if I take a couple steps back, this is where we see the Fiora just chilling. So all you have to do is rotate now. There's a fight going on, and you are more than strong enough to be the one to stop it. If you're not there, your team most likely can't win. And especially with Fiora being so mobile, it's hard to catch her. But the enemy team ends up getting the Baron, and your whole team ends up dying for it. And just due to that decision alone, the enemy team chooses to end the game here. But in no absolute way that when you are dead on the team, and especially if you have the Baron, it's perfectly okay for you to concede. So, the biggest thing was literally the mishap of when and where you should be split pushing, how, and when to rotate. Alright, I'm gonna wrap it up there. There really isn't too much to talk about. It's primarily just understanding when to do so and how, which most players don't know how to split push, which is understandable. Skill Capped has incredibly good details on how you should split push, and also when, how to play safe and whatnot. And also when to push aggressively and the trade-offs. Another great guy, his name is Dashai, who has an amazing methodology on it, is that by playing aggressive, you force the enemy team to have to react to you. And if you're needing to burn summoners, abilities, ultimates, then you set your team up for success on one side of the map as they contest for other objectives. And even if you die stalling out so much time. But we're gonna wrap it there for this video, and hope everybody has learned something educational with this mess of a loss. And even if your team was a bit troublesome, mentally in the head, the decisions we ourselves make have an impact on how the game turns out. even if our team is doing bad and we're doing good, or vice versa. If we're not doing so hot and we intentionally make the decisions that ends up fucking up our team, even if they're all like 4 people fed, the game could still easily lose, and especially in this meta where there's way too much damage. But I digress. This will be the end of the video. Thank you for watching.